And good morning, everyone. It is Friday, July 26, 2024. And as of just 12 hours ago, it seems to be, the Mariners have finally, and I mean finally, made a trade to acquire Randy Arozarena from the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, before I get into this any further, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that notification, and flick of the switch. Good morning. But let's talk about our sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a mobile ticketing app for sporting events, concerts, and other events. They make the buying experience easier by the app ranking each ticket from 0 to 10 to see if you are getting a good deal, and you can see exactly where you are sitting. I regularly use that app, and I have had nothing but a fantastic experience with SeatGeek. Use my promo code ROOFTOPSPORTS to get $20 off of your first purchase. Link to the code, app, and website will be in the description, so take advantage, and thank you. Now, who in the world is Randy Arozarena? So Randy Arozarena plays for the Tampa Bay Rays. He is their left fielder who just got traded to the Mariners. He is 29 years old, so he's most likely just in the prime of his career. He's been in the major leagues since around 24 years old with the St. Louis Cardinals. He started in the pandemic year hitting 7 home runs in just 23 games. And now in this season, in 100 games, he's got 15 home runs, 37 RBIs, 16 stolen bases, but he does bat .211 with a .318 OBP and a slugging percentage of .394 and a .712 OPS. That's actually, frankly, still would be one of the better players on the Mariners offense right now, because the best player on the offense right now is Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh. And Cal Raleigh is absolutely very up and down, actually more like up and very down. And then Julio Rodriguez is still on that 10-day IL. So who did the Mariners... Well, first off, this is like a good upgrade to the Mariners outfield. I mean, I would say it is a very good start. I don't think the Mariners trading quest should end right here. I would not just settle with Randy Arozarena, considering how much the Mariners gave up for Randy Arozarena. Now, here is who the Mariners gave up. They gave up outfield prospect Aiden Smith, who was in Modesto, and right-handed pitcher Brody Hopkins, who was also in the Modesto leagues, and also a player to be named later. So it makes me curious that who is going to be that player to be named later. Like, I wouldn't know who that would be, but it makes me a little bit nervous, because I remember back in 1996 when the Mariners traded for Dave Hollins to solidify that third base position due to the injury of Russ Davis, and that Jeff Matto could not take over that position in 96, and that Jay Buhner offered to play third base, and Lou Piniella would not let him play third base. He wanted to keep him in the right field. Mariners traded for Dave Hollins, and that player to be named later turned out to be David Ortiz. So that makes me nervous who the Mariners gave up in that farm system. I just hope they didn't give up any of the, quote, untouchables like Laz Montez, Felnine Celestine, or Johnny Farmelo, or Cole Young, or Harry Ford. I doubt it, but I'm very curious who that player to be named later is going to be. So we'll have to stay updated on that player to be named later. Let's hope Jared DeHart doesn't ruin Randy too. Yeah, that's what I'm nervous about. But with Randy Arozarena, knowing that he's an established all-star, I think he should just tell the coaching staff to be like, hey, this is my job. Like, I'm good at this. Let me do my thing, and you worry about yourself. That's what I want him. I don't want him to listen to the likes of the Scott Service. Yeah, don't listen to that Jared guy. No. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to Scott Service. Let Randy Arozarena do his thing, especially if he is an established all-star, as he was an all-star last season with the Tampa Bay Rays with 23 home runs, 83 RBIs, 22 stolen bases. Another thing I like about Randy Arozarena is his ability to steal bases, so that gives another base-stealing threat, which if he does have good speed, that's a good indication that he is also a solid defender. Now let's talk about the prospects that the Mariners gave up. First, it was Aiden Smith. He, in 77 games, because last season he didn't really spend much time in the minor leagues. It looks like he only played 22 games total in the minors last year, so this is really his first full serious year. He hit 9 home runs, 42 RBIs, 28 stolen bases, so this kid's got speed. 284 with a 402 OBP and a 470 slugging percentage. But however, mean, as much that might be tough to give up, he is not exactly one of the best Mariners prospects right now. Let's take a look and see where his rankings are. Let's take a look where Aiden Smith is. And it doesn't even put him. I think they just updated the list, so it looks like he may not even be ranked. But yeah, I mean, let's take a look at where he was in 2023. He wasn't even ranked in the 2023. Like, he wasn't even in the top 30, and he's clearly wasn't even in the top 10. So I guess the Mariners can. I think they can live with that. I think I can live with that. Like, I mean, we were talking about, us Mariner fans were talking about giving up the likes of like Laz Montez, Harry Ford, Cole Young, and all those guys. But the fact that the Mariners didn't even have to give up their top 10 prospect, I would say, like, if you just look at the trade on paper, it looks like the Mariners may have won that trade. And then another pitcher in Brody Hopkins. He's a starter. He was just drafted last season out of college. 4-3, 2.90 ERA. 95 strikeouts and 40 walks. He does walk quite a bit, but he doesn't really give up home runs. But knowing how much the Mariners put their stock into pitching for this year's draft, I would think that the Mariners can. I don't think they're going to really miss much out of him. Now, if both of these turn out to be great prospects, then fine, it is what it is. But for the Mariners to win now, I still think this was a valuable trade to make. And a tweet that I also saw that had a really good point. It was from Baseball Trade Values, which I'm just going to follow. It goes, today, the Mariners acquired Randy Arozarena, $7.3 million surplus value trade from the Rays in exchange for right-handed pitcher Brody Hopkins, who's valued at $5.2 million, Aiden Smith at $2.5 million, and a player to be named later. The deal is tentatively accepted by our model, pending the player to be named later. Randy Arozarena's value may seem to be low at first glance, but his $8.1 million salary means his final 2 years of arbitration project to be relatively expensive, while his 2024 performance has lagged far behind, despite his recent hot stretch. So before, Mariner fans, when they looked at his batting average, they may be concerned about him. But the other thing to look at, in his last 45 career at-bats, especially at T-Mobile Park, Randy Arozarena is hitting .289 with a .333 OBP, .511 slugging, .844 OPS with 3 home runs and 8 RBIs. So he does do well. He has done well for when he plays in T-Mobile Park. So maybe T-Mobile Park could work for him. So if he does struggle, I don't want to hear the whole, oh, T-Mobile Park is a horrible place for hitters. No, it's not true. Not at all. And also, in his last 44 games, he has batted .284, .397 OBP, .507 slugging, and .903 OPS. So he's been doing well since June, but because before that, when it was like the first 2 months, he was batting only .158 with a .257 OBP. So he was off to not a good start at all. But since then, he has finally picked it up very well. Let's take a look and see what his numbers were before. It was like 158, 8 home runs, 19 RBIs. The only concern I have about the Randy Arozarena is he does strike out quite a bit, just like everyone else on the Mariners. So hopefully the Mariners coaching staff doesn't put any kind of influence on Randy Arozarena. I hope, knowing that he is an established all-star, he would just say, again, I already said it, but he would say, yeah, just let me take care of my business. You take care of your own business. Don't bother me. Especially when I would like to see Mariners make other trades for more established stars so they can basically say the same thing. And now in the comments, what we got here is, I hope there is more to come. Really need more at-bats. More bats, lefty starter, another high leverage reliever. Absolutely. My final thoughts on this trade, and I don't think I really had to say much on this trade, is it's a good start. I would not just settle with this trade alone. You got to do more. Let's take a look and see if James Paxton is still available, because I think he still is. Yeah, it looks like Looks like the Red Sox, as of 17 minutes ago, are in talks to get James Paxton. I'm thinking, why don't you do the same thing, Mariners? Like, I would get James Paxton, so that way maybe you can move Bryce Miller and Brian Wu to the bullpen, and that's how you Bryce Miller or Brian Wu to the bullpen, and that's what would fix the problems immediately. You would add depth to the bullpen, and both of them one of those two can be high leverage, and then you have a left-handed pitcher in James Paxton who does have a winning record. He just happens to suck. He just happens to suck right now. But I think if he plays in the Mariners with a much more pitcher-friendly ballpark, then I think he could do great as a starting pitcher. So why not give him a chance? Or better yet, why don't you go for the likes of Trevor Bauer, which unfortunately, he's pretty much canceled by the entire Major League Baseball. So unfortunately, that's not going to happen. But the Mariners definitely do need to make trades. They have to get another offensive bat. Like, I think outfield is going to be well covered when it's all said and done. You've got Julio Rodriguez, got Luke Raley, who can capably still play, even though he's been struggling. And then you got Randy Arozarena, because like the likes of like Dominic Canzone and Mitch Haniger just wasn't going to do it. Like, it just wasn't going to get it done. And I wonder if that could be the end of Mitch Haniger. Like, do the Mariners cut ties with him? Because I really think they should. Like, I really do love Mitch Haniger. We all do. But his numbers are just not showing it. Like, Mitch Haniger has just been absolutely awful this season. Like, to say he's been awful is just an absolute understatement. And I'll show you how bad Mitch Haniger's numbers really are, because they are just absolutely really difficult to look at. He has 9 home runs, 35 RBIs in 86 games with a 207 batting average, 287 OBP, so he's not even getting on base consistently. A 342 slugging and a 628 OPS. Like yes, he's playing maybe a little bit better than last season. Maybe not even much so. They're pretty much about the same. But he's definitely nowhere near his 2022 season, when he was at least a 246 and a 308 OBP, 736 OPS. So yeah, Mitch Haniger, I think his days are going to be over. And Dom Canzone, he has just also been absolutely atrocious for the Mariners, and he's going through an injury right now. And even if he does come back, I don't want him to be playing on this team anymore. 7 home runs, 14 RBIs, 211 OBP, 289 OBP, 211 batting average, and a 394 slugging percentage. So any chance that Randy Arozarena could be in the lineup tonight? I mean, I don't know. There's not really been much updates, because, I mean, you have to fly him over to Chicago, so I don't think he's going to. Maybe, like, I would say him on Saturday, I think he would play. So I think that could be his first game. But I don't expect the first game to be. I don't expect him to play today, knowing that. Let's take a look and see where he came from. It would have been from Toronto to fly to Chicago. Maybe they sprung him on a plane, but I still think they're going to play him tomorrow. Oh, it looks like Sarah's saying, look at Brian De La Cruz or Blake Snell. I mean, Blake Snell has that big contract, so I just don't see it happening. But I mean, we can all agree that Mariners should have not traded. They should have signed Blake Snell in the offseason. Like, they had every bit of opportunity to do it, but they wouldn't do it. And they're in the position, and the Giants are very much in the position to do so, because they are just having an awful season. So I would like to see the Mariners trade for Blake Snell, because that means you could move Bryce Miller or Brian Wu to the bullpen. Like, I don't necessarily think you have to move them down. Try to see if they can pitch anything in the bullpen. And now let's take a look at anything else that we got to look at. Relief pitching. They absolutely need it, because Gregory Santos is looking banged up, and let's take a look and see what his updates are so far, because he did have to leave the game early because of an injury against the Angels. Oh, yeah. Gregory Santos is on a 15-day IL. Looks like Randy Arozarena has already reported to the club. Jonathan Clase's option and Edward Bizardo has been recalled. Oh, great. Edward Bizardo is now going to be... Edward Bizardo is going to be in the bullpen. Are you kidding me? So our bullpen's going to be bad. So now there's every bit of reason for the Mariners to trade for one, like trade for a pitcher so you can use like Bryce Miller, Brian Wynn, the bullpen, even though that Scott Service doesn't understand that concept. But you got to trade for a high leverage arm. And I don't understand why the Mariners, they have every reason to do that. They have every bit of reason to do a trade like that, to trade for a bullpen arm, because now your best pitcher is Andres Munoz. And the fact that your second best pitcher is Ryan Stanek, who has been having a back problem. This team, I'm telling you, they are far from done. They are far from being complete from making trades. They got to make more. Like I want them to make a trade that gets like Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and anyone in the bullpen or a starting rotation. But I think at this point, their priority really should be the bullpen, because the bullpen has blown so many games this season. Like it is just absolutely just ridiculous. Like, yeah, Ryan Hanna saying the bullpen is flaming garbage. Yeah, they are garbage. Like, let's take a look and see where their stats are in that bullpen. Take a look at that bullpen stats. As a reliever, surprisingly, they are 11th in the league in baseball, considering what they have. And they have 15 blown saves, must I say. They have 15 blown saves. That has got to be one of the major league leadings, but it's certainly up there. But they've had several save opportunities, and they've blown 15 of them. Well, if the Mariners could score, yeah, but still, you need a bullpen, because there are times where the Mariners do score, and the bullpen just blows it up anyway. But yeah, one more hitter at least, absolutely. And everyone put it in the comments and tell me what kind of a pitcher that you would, or kind of a hitter that you would like. Like, we're thinking about Vlad Guerrero Jr. I don't think you want like Jazz Chisholm, because that's like just getting Randy Arozarena. But I do want someone like Vlad Guerrero Jr. or Bo Bichette. Like, I want like one of those guys on this team, because now JP Crawford is out and he has proven to be absolutely expendable. Like, honestly and frankly, I don't even think a 2023 JP Crawford is going to be nearly enough. Like, I just don't see it being enough at all. Like, even a 2022 Ty France may have not been, even like a 2021 Ty France would not do it. I get it. Bichette is worse than JP, but Bichette has proven, but maybe Bichette is just he's just not in, like, maybe he just doesn't want to be in Toronto anymore because they suck. So not really much motivation, but yeah, look at his numbers. 4 home runs, 223 batting average, 276 OBP, which is heavily a lot worse than what he's been doing. But how about this? Why don't Mariners use that to their advantage? Why don't the Mariners just use the fact that Bo Bichette's sucking, that he has no value? So maybe they don't have to give up so much for Bo Bichette. I'd like to see a high average contact hitter. I guess so. But I still want someone like a Vlad Guerrero Jr. And now let's take a look and see how Vlad Guerrero Jr. is doing. Vlad Guerrero, he's at 18 home runs, 62 RBIs. He's batting 296. He's not even striking out 100 times. So I think this is a kind of guy that you would like on this team. A 365 OBP and a 853 OPS. So I would say, why not get someone like that guy, who was also in the prime, in his prime of his career, maybe just getting into the prime of his career. So maybe the Mariners, if the Mariners can get Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Randy Arozarena in one trade deadline, then I do think that's a win. But my win is getting Vlad Guerrero Jr., getting someone in the bullpen, and getting like one more starter. I think they need to make 3 more of those big trades before you can declare that the Mariners had a very successful trade deadline. Yeah, I would be shocked if they got Vlad Guerrero Jr. I just don't think it's going to happen, but I really do think the Mariners should make an effort, especially if the Mariners, the Mariners even have to give up any of their top 10 prospects for Randy Arozarena. Like, they didn't even really give up much. And I would imagine that Mariners wouldn't even have to give up that much for Jazz Chisholm. Tyler Anderson would be a good for the Mariners as a starter. Yeah, I guess. But I think I would want something a little bit more than that. But yeah, Tyler Anderson's a good player, but usually doesn't. Usually, in division trades are very rare. So I don't know if anything like that would happen. But I do like these ideas, like Jazz Chisholm's an idea. I saw that Estevez from the Angels, also another idea. Blake Snell, but he has a really big contract. And Brian De La Cruz. Let's take a look at Brian De La Cruz. Brian De La Cruz is on Miami, and I'm pretty sure his brother might be Ellie De La Cruz. Trying to see if they are brothers. No, they're not related. They are not. They're not related at all. But Brian De La Cruz has 17 home runs, 47 RBIs. He does strike out quite a bit, so I think that's the hesitation there. But he has a lot of power, so I don't think there's really any point of getting someone like that. Maybe I would get someone like maybe a Jazz Chisholm for an extra speed, but he's also quite a strikeout guy too. Let's take a look and see where Jazz Chisholm Jr. is too. The cover boy of MLB The Show. 13 home runs, batting .248, 320 OBP, also 105 strikeouts. So I think ultimately I would go out and get someone like Vlad Guerrero Jr. because he would be a huge help to this team. Like, he is an established star. A big impact bat, would take a heck of a lot of pressure out of Julio Rodriguez. Now, let me take a really quick break. Let me give you a word from our sponsor. Here it is.
Modern Exterior Solutions is a fully licensed and insured full-service exterior renovations company serving Seattle and East Side communities. We know that a home is one of your most important possessions. That's why we're committed to providing high-quality, affordable home renovations for each customer's individual budget. We're diverse enough to meet the challenges of any project you put in front of us. Our workmanship minimizes the use of third-party services, and our team works together to meet all your deadlines. Anytime there's a challenge, we work with you to find a solution. We're proud to work with distributors of quality brand products with durable, ample protection from the elements for a variety of applications, including James Hardie siding and trim. Talk with us today about your project's needs, and we can help you solve all the challenges along the way.
So yeah, going back, let's take a look and see what we've got. Jazz Chisholm's going to be too much for us. No way we can make that trade. He's been on the block all year. Yeah, but if you want to get a winner, then sometimes you got to take that risk. And I really would wonder how much he would be worth. I mean, I would think that the Miami Marlins are. I mean, he wasn't even voted into the All-Star game, or he wasn't even selected as an All-Star. So maybe Mariners don't have to give up as much. But I think they should get Jazz Chisholm because he would play really good in the infield. So I think maybe now I'm backtracking. Maybe Jazz Chisholm would be a great idea. I mean, it's not like they're going to ask for all of our prospects. Like, you can ask, they can ask for like maybe one of those prospects, like Cole Young or Harry Ford, and then use like a mid-level, like a Ty P or any of those smaller prospects. Yes, I agree with you. They got to spend the money for sure, but it's not the free agency. But yes, it also means they have to spend money throughout this season in order to make those trades. Because let's hope that they don't make a trade. They don't do exactly what they did. But that's a good indication, though, that they're not going to sell. Like, it's a great indication that the Mariners are not selling at the deadline, which is very encouraging that they're not selling. Because last year, when they were in the middle of a contention, what'd they do? They freaking traded Paul Sewald away. And I'm taking a look and see where. Oh, here's what's going on. So this is from Arizona. This is related to Paul Sewald. AJ Pucks, last 14 relief appearances with Miami, who the Diamondbacks traded for. He has a 0 ERA, 3 walks, 25 strikeouts. Could be asked to close games for Arizona with Paul Sewald struggling because Paul Sewald, I guess, is now all of a sudden not playing well at all. Like, let's take a look and see where I want to see where Paul Sewald is at. So Paul Sewald has a 3.70 ERA. Pretty bad. 15 saves. I think this is where the Mariners should swoop in and just go get Paul Sewald, because that would be a huge help for this bullpen. Could give a closer, make Andres Munoz you can make him the high leverage guy for your top of your lineup as a setup role, or they could like do a closer by committee thing. But I think Mariners should definitely jump on that and get Paul Sewald. Like, I would totally go for that. Miles Burkham says, we'll see what happens. I'm rooting for it, but he would have been traded before Randy by us, in my opinion. Trying to understand what you're saying. We'll see what happens. I'm rooting for it, but he would have been traded for before Randy. I guess so. You think Paul Sewald's time has passed, huh? But I mean, I'd still do it, because you can always Mariners are known for rejuvenating like crappy pitchers from the bullpen, like failed bullpen pitchers, and it would work out. No cause. We need offense first. Like, I agree, but maybe make Paul Sewald the final trade of that piece, because it's not like maybe nobody else wants to get him, or better yet, if he gets DFA'd for whatever reason because he's on the last year of his contract, the Mariners can swoop him for cheap. Maybe that's what the Mariners are waiting for, so they don't have to like eat that part of the contract. So we'll have to see if Arizona actually does get rid of him, because they're also slightly in the middle of contention. But Paul Sewald's numbers have been really weird this season. I'm now looking at his game logs, but from May 7th, when he started the season late, all the way up to June 30th, he had a 0.54 ERA. And then since then, he has been struggling with a 10.57 ERA between July 2nd to July 24th. So after that one bad month he's been having, it's been enough to, I guess, cause the Diamondbacks to make that trade. Who's an available third base target? And hello, Reflect. How you guys doing? And I see a lot of you guys. I really do appreciate this high level of engagement. I'm starting to think that I should have done a show last night, because Mojo was doing it and everyone else. Even Trident had his little YouTube short about it. But the reason why I didn't was because I was working on a video, and the video title is going to be the best trade deadline in Mariners history. So yeah, that's the video I made. It's going to be about the 1995 Mariners, when they traded for Andy Benes and Vince Coleman, that arguably really helped the team make that deep run, because I think without those trades, Mariners don't even sniff the playoffs one bit. And Steven Diaz, thank you for that donation. If everyone else can follow, that'd be fantastic. Now, for third base, I was thinking maybe the Mariners can maybe get Eugenio Suarez. He's batting .216 though, with a .297 OBP. But if he can bring the good vibes only, and he does get the extra base hits. He has 115 strikeouts though. Seems like a little bit less than what he did last season. But man, last season was he awful. 214 strikeouts and 70 walks. And his contract, he has a team option. You know what? If the Mariners don't get like Vlad Guerrero Jr., maybe bring back Eugenio Suarez, because he has a $15 million team option for next season. So it's not like the Mariners will have to be committed. And if he's already been paid half into this season, you're paying him like what, $6 million or maybe $5 million. So maybe what do you guys think? Like, do you guys like that idea of getting Eugenio Suarez as a third baseman, maybe as like one of those last resorts trades, at least for a third baseman? But I think if they get Eugenio Suarez, that probably means that they're not going to go for Vlad Guerrero Jr. But I really do think that it's just not realistic. I don't think it's realistic for the Mariners to get Vlad Guerrero Jr. So Ryan Hanna says pass. Fair enough. Everyone else, what do you think? Like, do you think Mariners should get Eugenio Suarez, get the good vibes only back on this team? I mean, don't you guys want someone like this?
All right, guys, good vibes only. Don't forget it.
Stop it. Thank
Let's say everyone else says, we have the biggest sage plant we've ever had. It's thriving. Perhaps I could dig it up and send it to the Mariners. I have no idea what that is. But yeah, bottom line is, what I really want is Mariners get Vlad Guerrero Jr. I want the Mariners to get not only just Vlad Guerrero Jr., maybe get Paul Sewald. I definitely get Paul Sewald back. And then maybe Eugenio Suarez. So that's really, I think that's all they really got to do. Because you can still use your starters as the way you want to. Yeah, I know. He would add more to the strikeouts, but so does Randy Arozarena. The guy still strikes out like a mofo. But at least he does the other things, I guess. But Suarez would also give you a great third base option, which also means Mariners won't have to be so committed to Jorge Polanco. Because I believe he has a team option after this season. So that means you can move like Josh Rojas. You can platoon Josh Rojas and Dylan Moore to second base instead and not have to make Dylan Moore such an everyday player, because I think that is ridiculous. I think it is ridiculous to make Dylan Moore an everyday player, and Josh Rojas as an everyday player is just not working out. And Mariners going into the road trip in Chicago, because they're going to be in Chicago. They're playing both the Soxes. They're going to be playing in Chicago and Boston before they get home, and they host the Philadelphia Phillies. Let me double check that schedule. So they're going to be playing Chicago. Then they'll be at home against a very good Philadelphia Phillies trade. Robles has been solid, but can you really depend on him on an everyday basis? I don't think I can. So maybe make him an off the bench kind of guy. Maybe, I guess, have him. There's not anyone to platoon with, because everyone, and maybe, I guess they would have him platoon with Luke Raley. A $1 million buyout out of Jorge Polanco. Let me look at that contract. I mean, Polanco he's an old man. Like, he is now like, what, he's 31 years old? I think his time is up. Polanco is at 10 million, so the Mariners have paid 5 million in. And it looks like he has a $750,000 buyout. Your buddy's a Phillies fan, and he says they're going through the same struggles as us, but I don't buy it with them. I mean, I don't know. But I do think the Mariners should at least get more aggressive in the trade deadline, because I don't want this to be the only trade. Like if you get a Eugenio Suarez, you can move Josh Rojas to second base, which I think he belongs more of. And then you can move, you can make Dylan Moore a platoon guy for your second base, and maybe call up Ryan Bliss and give him an opportunity. I think that's a great combination to have. Call up Ryan Bliss, make him second base, Josh Rojas. But I just don't think the Mariners are going to go for a Eugenio Suarez. But I think financially it makes sense, because you're going to get someone that's like half into his contract, and then he has a team option, so the Mariners don't necessarily have to commit to him for the next season. And then definitely get like Vlad Guerrero Jr. Dodgers need starter pitching. Not my problem. See the notes above for 24. It's a $1 million buyout. Wow. So it looks like he has a very team-friendly contract. So yeah, maybe why not just cut the ties of him? Just get rid of the guy. Because Jorge Polanco just hasn't been working out. Like, he really just flat out hasn't. And I don't want to waste time with him. And just by moving on from Jorge Polanco, but that's if Mariners get like a Eugenio Suarez, because I just don't see Tyler Locklear as Like, I like Tyler. I like his talent, but I don't think he's enough to get this team to the playoffs. Like, Mariners, like I'm saying it, they got to make more trades. Like, it's clearly not enough. Like, they got to do a lot more. Like, I will be honest, they got to do much more than that. So anything else? Like, if you guys have any more trade deadlines, anyone has more trade ideas, put it in there, because I am going to be taking off real soon. I think I talked about as much as I could. I guess the next thing I can really talk about is who the Mariners are playing. It's going to be George Kirby versus Thorpe. That's going to be a tough game. And if Arozarena is not playing, I think I put my money on the White Sox. On the 27th on Saturday, Brian Wu against Fetty. So it's kind of weird. Chicago's a garbage team, but yet they have pretty solid starters. Wow, this is actually going to be a tough series. Like, all the White Sox's pitchers have like an above, like they barely have a 3 ERA. So it's going to be a very difficult series for the Mariners. I really hope maybe Arozarena provides one bit of a spark, but he's basically just replacing Julio right now. So clearly, I don't think it's going to be enough. And if I were you, go to the casino and make a bet on the White Sox, because I would. Like, I can see even a sweep against the Mariners. I hate to say it. I know I sound negative and all, but if the Mariners aren't careful, I think a sweep is actually possible. White Sox are the underdogs, but I don't think they're the underdogs. Like, I totally expect the White Sox to win this game, and I expect them to win this series. And then Boston's not going to be any easier either. So just by looking at the schedule, the Mariners should be making more trades. Get Vlad Guerrero Jr. Like, get the guy. You got to get the guy. Because if you don't, then what? Someone else is going to go for him. Because Toronto looks like they're on selling mode, possibly. Because they're not exactly having a good season either. Like, I want to look at the standings right now and see where those standings are at. Oh, yeah, the Blue Jays are 46 and 56. And somehow the Rays were making a trade in the middle of their contention. Very strange. But yeah, Mariners are 3.5 games back from the wild card. Yes, they're 1 game back from the division, but Houston is absolutely on a hot streak. While the Mariners have lost 3 in a row. I mean, maybe not so much of a hot streak for Houston because they're 5-5, because that Oakland series really hurt them. But with those starters going against the Mariners, it's going to be a tough series, especially when you're playing in the Windy City. And the Mariners don't exactly have a good track record in Chicago. So after this series, I think you also want to determine whether you want to make more trades to get ready for the Boston series and get ready for a World Series contender as in the Philadelphia Phillies. So I think the Mariners, they still got work to do. Like, Randy Arozarena was a good start, but I don't think it's enough. And I do think the Mariners should, and I said it, they should go out and make a trade. More trades. Like, my dream is get Paul Sewald, maybe Gino Suarez, but definitely get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But I think that's going to do it. I thought I could give you guys a service if you guys are commuting for your 9-to-5 jobs. But I definitely appreciate you guys watching this. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate you being part of my journey of the YouTube. I'm about 11 subscribers away from the magic number, which is going to be 2,000. It's been taking quite a bit this month. I've had a tough month, but it is what it is. Still having fun with you guys. But to note, on Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a trade deadline special live, hopefully with Steve Silver, the Swing for the Fences, and hoping for another special guest. I won't tell you who it is, so we'll just leave it at that. But that's going to do it. Thank you very much for being on this show. I want to thank you for your support. If you can throw in some more donations, that'd be great. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification. And everyone, have a good day. I am calling it off. And go Mariners.